Hey folks, today I'm going to lead you through finding an electrical problem that Bob had. For those of you who don't know, this is Bob. Bob is a 1973-45, I forget exactly which year, model chucker lathe. And it's named Bob because we can't all agree on the name of the manufacturer, so this is Bob. This is Bob the lathe. This is not a mole. This is where my skin is repairing itself after being scraped off. About a 1/4 inch patch of skin was removed when I put on a welding helmet that bounces around in my equipment trailer, and the headband had fallen off. That little piece of plastic cut me and just scraped it right off. When you get old, your thin skin, it's thin up here anyway, very vascular. It's healing. Thank you for your concern. Before we go any farther, these are not moles either. This is where a big heavy LiftMaster gate operator was falling and I caught it. When you get old, your skin gets thin. Hell, Dawn's just one big band-aid. Anyway, I shot some of this video, a lot of it, and repaired Bob before I had my heart attack in February, and I'm just now catching up and going back and getting all that straightened out. So it may be a little disjointed, but I thought today I could at least get you started on the Cliff Note version. Now Bob has pretty simple controls. This is its speed area. You have a push pull start, brake on and off. Coolant is down here on this little one. It's got oil in it. I just flushed it all. It was some nasty stuff. Anyway, Bob would not go into all of its different speed ranges when I bought it. To make a long story short, I spent a day going through all the electronics and electrics and pots and everything, and finally I found out what was causing it. But you have to wait till the end of the video to see that. Anyway, Bob has two control levers here. One is forward, brake, and reverse. Then you have 3 gear ranges, first, second, and third. And then you can control those individual gear ranges by these pots up here. This controls 1 and 2 position. Goes from 125 to 420 in number 1, 375 to 1250 in number 2, and then when you get over to 3, you go to a different pot. It goes from 10,500 to 3,000. Down here in the cabinet, as you'll see later on, there's a variable speed pulley system. It's got a 2-speed electrical motor that drives that kind of a really neat system. But we'll get into that when I show you a picture of it. Now, right now Bob is running. Let's see, we'll set speed 1 and 2 to 600 and 200, and we'll go to 2200 on 3. Go to forward. That's first gear, second gear, third gear. Sounding, feeling pretty good. Well, anyway, Bob wouldn't do that when I got it. So stick around and I'll show you what it took to find out what was wrong. There's been many threads that I found on the internet about this brand lathe doing the exact same thing, and nobody came back and told you what was wrong. Well, I hate threads like that, so I'm going to tell everybody what was wrong. Bob, are you okay? Obviously, you have a problem. Well, it's not obvious to you guys. I didn't even turn Bob on. But I did the other night. And Bob seems to have a limited ability to go round and round and round and round. Now, these things are set up for speed. I mean, moving things around quickly, doing parts, changing things from the turret to the controls even. You got the pull starts up there, the brake control, and then you have L or speed 1, 2, and speed 3. And those are controlled by which place you put this lever. 1, 2, and 3. Then you have forward, brake, and reverse. Well, I've got it in 1. Let's go forward. Now, according to this, it should be going right at about 250 RPMs. I'm not going to break out the speed changer. Then you can go to number 2, and it should be right at 700. Then you go to number 3, and it stays at 700. Go to 3, this doesn't do anything. Go back to 2, this doesn't do anything. So basically I've got 700 and about 250. This thing will go up to 3,000, so what the heck's wrong, Bob? Well, Bob has a variable speed drive. And now I've never owned one of these. But from all the reading I've done, which is kind of limited, Bob has a very nice system down here. All right, I went and got us a light to show you better what's going on. Now, this machine is very sensitive to the rotation when you wire it up to 3-phase. In fact, it's got a whole procedure in the manual on how to do it, even a special switch that you turn off until you have it correct. Basically, what happens, let's see if I can get you in here. That screw right there is controlled and has some contacts on it so it can't go too far. Basically, it's a safety. If you wire it up in the wrong rotation and turn it on without turning that switch, it can run that screw down and make those contacts. Now, to me, that doesn't look like it's too far down or able to touch a contact, but that's the first thing we're going to look at. That controls that belt right there. It goes on up to the spindle. Well, yeah. And you can kind of see down there, the main motor has a belt. It comes up to that little jack shaft, and then that belt goes on upstairs. But that should be our culprit. If it's not, it's going to be electrical. So, got to dig into it a little bit. Well, we're back over here where I thought the problem may be originally. This is the pot. It's got 3 wires coming out of it. I can look on the tags and see what they are. There's 26 and some others, 27, and this Microswitch is 5 and 20, and those seem to be numbers that I remember. So that switch supplies a power over to the transformer. Machine's off. Sorry, I didn't mean to give you a headache there. And for that switch to be able to give it power, it needs to go through itself, through the switch. So, hopefully,
there should be connectivity between 5 and 20 that's right there. And frankly, I don't know if I can, here, maybe you guys can see it here, look down. Oh no. It's hard doing this where you guys can see and I can do stuff too. Okay, we have that, we have this, and we have contact. Now, I reach underneath here, I can get underneath that, and I can close that switch. So, that means that switch is working, and we need to go back to the other side and figure out why 5 and 20 are not feeding through. They feel tight. And they are closed. Well, they've come down to the main electrical panel on Bob. And now it has several different places the problem could be, but I suspect that it's in here now. Now, this is a 1975 machine. Back then, they did things a little bit different. And for me, it's really good because all those different things were simple. For those of you that don't mess with this stuff, I was a paramedic for a long time, and I have pulled people away from panels and such that were dead, and some were still alive. I've seen them burned horribly. You know, the electricity goes inside, you may look okay, but it just burnt your heart to crisp. So please, if you do not know what you're doing, leave this door closed. Even if you do know what you're doing, please be careful. Now, this door has your standard interlock. This is the lines coming in, L1, 2, and 3, three-phase. On a machine like this, it doesn't matter which leg your generated leg is because it's all mechanical. This switch here, for this to be energized, the door needs to be closed. Now, yes, you could sit over here and twist it and turn it and it'll come on, and sometimes you have to. But if you don't have to, don't work on this panel while it's energized. How about a quick tour? This is a very nice, well laid out cabinet. I found that Brown & Sharps, Monarchs, and other things like that of that period almost all look like this. Cables were very neatly laid out. They had raceways keeping them all together. All the lines were numbered, so you didn't have to go from this one to over here. I mean, everything is laid out for you, and it really shows good quality workmanship. Now, this is the incoming fuses. We got 3 lines coming in. They go off and scatter about. This is the forward and reverse for the spindle. This is a rotary switch. That handle up on top comes in through this gear right here, this little linkage, and rotates it around. It basically just changes the polarity of and switches them back and forth. This is the one for the forward and reverse, yes. This was the main spindle motor. This is the forward and reverse motor. Transformer. Then you run down into this area. These are all contactors. Then you get down in here. These are all protection devices, and they all have a little arm sticking out of them, and that arm controls the heater, or another word for a fuse. Heaters are different sizes, and when they get to a certain temperature, they'll trip. So the first thing I'm going to do in old Bob is I'm going to make sure each one of those heaters is not tripped by pushing them in. You can hear it if it is. Okay, all the heaters look good as far as being reset. They may be burned out, but they're not blown like that. All the wiring looks great. I don't see any burn marks. I don't smell any smoke. I don't even hear anything or see anything. Now, the speed control takes up a lot of this cabinet. These contactors and these heaters control the speed control. This over here, these two blocks and this transformer are also with the speed control. And that transformer, we need to make sure it has power coming to it, and that may be the big culprit. When you look at things like this, guys, look for capacitors. Capacitors can store energy. And even though it's disconnected, if you touch a capacitor and a big one, they'll knock you on your butt or kill you too. So be careful. This switch up here is for the coolant on and off. This switch right here is part of the wiring procedure. You turn this to off before you wire up the unit. Put in your wires, keep that off, turn the unit on, turn the spindle motor on, and look for counterclockwise rotation when you're looking at the spindle from the work area. Then after that, you turn it all off and you flip this to on. What that does is disable that speed motor. Now, I got a feeling our problem is a disabled motor. And the reason I feel that is that my cursory glance has shown me that there's a fuse block right here, and there's only 3 fuses, or 2 fuses where there should be 3. And number 10 wire is part of the speed sensor service or circuit. Now, this is something they used to do on all the old machines, and I wish they still did it. This is the original blueprints of the electrical diagram for this machine. Cool. This helps greatly. And if you look over here in this section right here, that fuse is named 2DS, and it goes from 9 to 10 and 3M, and that's all part of that variable speed circuit. So the first thing I'm going to do is check for a short to ground on those legs for that fuse, and depending on what I find, I'm going to pop another fuse in it and see what happens. I don't know why it's gone. They may have blown a fuse and just switched one into there because they didn't have one and forgot about it, and the 2 speeds were enough for them. Don't you love this little pocket right here? The only thing I found so far is the glue released on all of these rubber strips, and 2 of them are stuck. I think we can use some of that contact cement and put them right back in place. Hey guys, I'm back. I did a little bit more reading in there, and I found out that I don't think there was ever a fuse shipped with this. I finally found on one page in there that should go to the thread control unit for the automatic threader, which when I bought this machine it didn't have one, but now it does. Now, keep. Hello.
Hello. Dear customer, this is a confirmation call from Geek Squad. There, your account will be debited with $309.
No, it won't. Friggin'. Scammers. I don't use the Geek Squad. Hell, I am the original Geek Squad. Okay. After studying the information a little bit farther, I don't think that fuse was ever inserted. Thus, I don't think it's needed because I haven't hooked up the thread chaser yet. So, started digging around in some more, and the only other fuse in here that looks to be going through that circuit is this one. So just for the heck of it, I'm going to pull it out, and we'll check and see if it's not blown or if it is blown. Not blown. That's a 1 1/8. Don't have any of those small ones like that. You wouldn't think that there's any way that that switch could be labeled backwards, do you? Usually these have a little tab that sits in them, so I would doubt that. One of the other things I'm going to do is make sure all these contactors, well, wait a minute. That one looks like it's got a little bit of smoke around it. I think that's just not burnt. I just think it could be. I wonder where that goes. You know, Don's the electrical or electronic engineer, one of them. He should be over here doing this instead of me. But no. Oh, it's not his fault. He'd be here if he could. COVID's flared back up, so he's not wanting to do anything. 5 for then on that one. Should be going to T13. So now you got to sort through all of this and find out. IDS and going to 5. IDS and going to 5. IDS and going to 5. Sorry, this is confusing. This is IDS, and 3 and 5 should be open right now, and 3 and 5 should have continuity. So let's see. 3. Well, that don't make sense. Well, if that was 5, it would. That doesn't say 5. It says 3. And the bottom one down there says 5. Now that I got you where you can see a little bit better. With that through there, I might have a chance of getting power down to that transformer, so we're going to put it on AC, volts AC. First we're going to test this one. Now the white wire number 8 should be negative and that should be positive. 126 volts coming out of there. Let's see, we have it down here. 8 should be negative. Still don't have it there. Now I have power. Spindle's got to be running to get power to that transformer.
Well, as you can see, took a lot of wire tracing and scratching my head and studying of plans to figure out what the final cause was. Now, I've looked around on different forums and found people having the same problem, asking for a solution, but they never came back and answered if they found one. But I'm kind of tenacious when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I have fun doing it. Hope you did too. Now for the final cause. I took all of this head apart, traced all the wires down to the main control box. Didn't have any shorts or breaks or anything. Turns out that there's this pot and this pot, and there's also a third pot that controls the position of the motor on the little screw that adjusts the variable speed pulleys. All three of those pots were dirty. And only after I found one pot and cleaned it just as a last Hail Mary shot did other things start working. And finally, after I cleaned all three pots, everything was working. So Bob's back to feeling good and running good. The noise flap you heard at the very beginning of the video was before I adjusted the belts on Bob. They were really loose. So I've got a video out on showing that. If you want to see it, it should be up here somewhere. Anyway, hope I didn't bore you too much. I didn't show you the about 12 hours of video I shot doing this. Frankly, I couldn't take it anymore. So thank you for watching. Thanks for all the new subscribers. I hope you find it interesting, and I hope it helped one or two people out in the wortill next time, thank you.